to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe. So this is just going to be the cutting part of the romper. Let's get started. From the top of your paper, come down by 1 inch and mark across. Since this is going to be an off shoulder, I'll be using 5.5 inches for the neck depth, and I'm going to add 1 inch for my elastic, so I'll be using 4.5 inches. So I'll place the 4.5 inches on that line I made, which is our top line. So from that 4.5 inches, I'll be marking my shoulder to waist measurements. So I'll mark and square across. With my 4.5 still on that top line, I'm going to be marking my armhole depth, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll mark this and square across. From the side of your paper, come in by 1 inch. Now on the top line, mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Mark same measurement on your armhole depth line. Now on your armhole depth line, mark your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch allowance. Now use your French curve to connect this point to your top line like so. Now on your waistline, you're going to be marking your hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch of allowance. On your waistline, we're going to be using our hip measurement because we want to add an elastic. Now connect points together. You can add your necessary allowance, but I'll be using 0.5 inches allowance for this pattern because I don't have to make much adjustments since it's not going to be tight. Now on your waistline, add 1 inch allowance. Why do we add 1 inch? Because we're going to be adding an elastic, so we need this 1 inch. And remember, we already added 1 inch to our top line, so there's no need to add allowance again to the top because that already has allowance. So the center front, you're going to be cutting it on fold, and I'm just labeling this side front and side back because we're going to be using this pattern for both our front and back pattern. Here I have my front and back short pattern, and if you can't do this, I already have a tutorial on this and I'll drop a link in the description below. Note that when I was making that tutorial, I talked about the crotch line. Instead of using hip divided by 4 to get your crotch line, you use hip divided by 3 to get your crotch line because this is a jumpsuit. If you watch that tutorial, you understand. So now I'm just tracing the front pattern, and if you watch that tutorial, you remember that the front pattern was actually I used the red marker for the front pattern, so I'll just be tracing this on my new paper, pattern paper underneath it. Now that I'm done tracing, I'll just use my red marker to make it visible so that we can be able to see it. Okay, that's it. And if you note, I didn't trace the waist dart because I don't really need the waist dart. So now I'm just going to extend my waistline, also extend my hip line, my crotch line, and my hem line. after extending on the waistline, just like we did for the front, I'm going to be marking my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch of allowance. I'll also mark that on my hip line. And I'm just going to take my ruler and extend that line there downwards so that we can get an equal measurement. Okay, so now from that line I extended downward, I'm also going to mark my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch of allowance. You should get a straight line while doing this, so that's what I'm also marking on my hemline. So you should get a straight line. If you don't get a straight line, please check again if your measurements were correct. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add my 1 inch to the waistline, because remember that we're going to add elastic to the waist, so I'm just going to be adding that on my waistline for my my short pattern. And on the crotch, you're just going to be adding 0.5 inches of allowance, and on the side you add your desired allowance, but I'll be using 0.5 inches on my side also. I've already gone ahead to trace my back pattern, which was the green lines. Now I'm just going to be extending the lines just like I did for the front pattern. And on the waistline, I'm going to mark my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inches of allowance. And I'm going to do this till I get a straight line. I now extended that my waistline over there at the side downwards so that it will help me get the straight line that I needed. Now I'll be marking my hip measurement divided by 4 from that line I drew down. Now I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to be connecting the points. I decided to extend the line more downwards so that I'll be able to mark again so that I can get a more straighter line. Okay guys, that's it for the pattern tutorials. You can go ahead to add your allowances. Now I'm just going to be adding pockets to our romper, and I'll be working with the front short pattern. So from your side, you're going to come in by 2 to 3 inches depending on how small or big your hand is, and the pocket length is usually 7 inches from the top line. So I'm marking 7 inches from my waistline, and that 2 inches we came in, I'm going to be marking 3 to 3.5 inches, so it depends on you. And from that 7 inches, you're going to be marking 3.5 to 4 inches. It depends on how wide you want the pocket to be. Now I'm just going to be connecting that point I made on my top line to the pocket length with a straight line. Make sure not to use a curvy line so that it would not start gaping. So now I'm now going to extend that line I went inwards like so, and also extend my line at the bottom that I marked at the bottom like so. And this will guide me in drawing the curve for my pocket. So at that edge there, I'm going to be coming out by 1.5 inches and using my French curve to connect like so. Okay, and that's it. What you're going to just do next is get a new pattern paper and place it underneath it, because we're going to be tracing these pockets that we just made. So now I'm just pinning it down using my pin to hold it down, and this is the lines you're going to be tracing. So just follow the tracing wheel I'm just showing you what you trace. You trace that curvy part over there. Make sure you add your necessary allowances, and I added 0.5 inches around the pattern paper, and at the waistline also add your 1 inch. So now I'm just going to be tracing for my pocket casing, and this is the line I'm going to be tracing, not that line I marked inwards. So please follow my step, and I'm going to show you where to trace. Okay, make sure you add your necessary allowances, and at the top there I'm going to be adding 1 inch, just like I did for my trouser pattern. I'll do it for my pocket. All the allowances I added for my trouser is the same allowance I'll add for my shorts. I keep forgetting it's a short that I will add for on my waist. Then at the side here I added 0.5 inches on my side for my shorts, so I'll be doing the same thing for my pocket. So this is it, guys. Make sure to add your 1 inch to your waist, and this is it. And we're going to be just needing 2 pieces each for this, and this is how it's going to look when we sew it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Next, we're going to be using our patterns to sew the romper. See you next time. Bye.